Accomplished Alchemist. Doing well, all vaccinated up, taking it easy. Sounds good, my friend. Sounds good. You stay safe now, okay? 4 mana 2/5. I know there are some people in chat that are a fan of a 2/5 stat line. So there might be some biased opinions in this particular chat. However, who could that be? Good question. Good question. This ain't no Stego. It's not. Who wants a 4 mana dork? Like, honest question. When do you ever want a 4 mana dork? Never. The answer is never, right? It's an elf. Yeah, that doesn't mean it's like. There's so much. I could just cast Collected Company instead of playing this piece of trash. No, I just don't see it, unfortunately. It's one of those things that you have to enable it to be really good and like gain a ton of life to really utilize it for the coloured mana, or it's just a Llanowar elf. Did I read the part where it was an elf? Let me double check. Yeah, no, it's still an elf. Doesn't really change my opinion. 5 toughness? No, man. It's so hard to make this good. Like, if you're gaining 5 life to tap this for 5 mana, what do you want to cast in your green-white deck? Like, what 9 mana spell do I want to cast in my green-white deck? Many elves. Surely I'm just doing that already off of the elves that exist, though, right? I'm just, like, dumping out archdruids and other stuff. This is probably great in Limited. It's got a chonky butt. But I don't know. I think this is just too expensive, unfortunately, guys. I just don't think this one's going to make the cut. But feel free to prove me wrong. Because I always love to be proved wrong. You're making a joke. Fair enough, Joe. If only you were funny, buddy. If only you were funny. Basic Conjuration. So another lesson. Oh dear. I regret nothing. I regret absolutely nothing. 3 mana sorcery. Joe's favourite card type. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. Put a creature into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom. Gain 3. This one's actually solid. Not even that beard. Nice. No, this one's actually pretty good. This one's this is kind of what we're talking about before in needing to fill niches. If you want Lesson to be a good mechanic, you need to be able to fill holes. We've been talking about it all night, Ash, honestly. It's that if you want Lesson to be good, you need to be able to find a removal spell, or find card advantage, or find a threat. And this is both, well, 2 of those things. It's card advantage in a way, because it finds you a threat you actually cared about, and it's also the threat, right? Because you get to look at 6 cards, just pluck a creature up. So if you're playing a 2-drop that draws you this, that draws you a 4-drop, that's a decent enough curve. You think it's standard unplayable? I think you might be right. I am willing to accept that it's entirely possibly standard unplayable, but drawing a card can only ever be so bad. It is definitely expensive, but this one is probably up there with, like, Confront the Past and the White Exile one as the ones that I think are probably the best, like, bullets so far that we've seen from the spoilers. So I like this one. This one finds you cards that don't suck, and that's always nice. We've got some limited filler. This makes 3 mana with the 2/5 elf. Holy shit. Yeah, exactly. I very much understand where you're coming from, Jenin, for sure. Some more limited filler. Nothing particularly. Bookworm's a cool card name, but this card isn't good. So we're not going to worry about this too much. It's an 8 mana spell that is kind of shit. Rares. Dragon's Guard Elite. Let's take a look at you. Dragon's Guard Elite. 2 mana 2/2, so Bear can only ever be so bad. Magecraft. Put a +1/+1 counter on it. 6 mana, double the number of counters on it. Why does this have to be green? Because everything is green. You know this by now. This is the buy a box promo. Yeah, fair enough, Lexi. Maybe it does find the Home Investor one, for sure. This thing spirals out of control real fast, but it has the same problem I have with just about every other 2-drop in this format, that in order for you to play a 2-drop that gets stomped, it has to be really good. No, I mean just with the Magecraft trigger, Jen, and not so much the doubling effect. The doubling effect is just like kind of gravy on the cake. But if you're just casting this and then casting 2 instants and sorceries on turn 3, it's a big boy. The problem is you never make it to turn 3. You cast this on turn 2, you sheepishly smile at your opponent, and they stomp your creature, and you cry. Yeah, I think this one is close because, yeah, exactly. Like if you cast this on turn 3 with Defiant Strike open, that's a lot better than casting this on turn 2. But that means you need to consider this a 3-drop and not really consider it a 2-drop. Yeah, this is close. I think this is like close to playable, but it could really have done with a 3rd point of toughness. 3rd point of toughness would make this card a lot better, I think. Otherwise, it feels like it's a bit fragile. Not sure. I like the design. This reminds me of like Quirion Dryad and similar effects like that. I think it's a really cool design. I'm just not entirely sure it's good enough in this day and age, unfortunately. Ecological Appreciation. Yeah, being an X2 is a big issue until Stomp rotates. That is just the sad truth, unfortunately. Yeah, kind of like Deep Root Champion, actually. So, X2 green. Search your library in your graveyard for up to 4 creature cards with different names that each have a mana value of X. Opponent picks 2 of them. Shuffle your library, put those 2 on the battlefield. So this is a really bad tooth and nail. What's the perfect number for this? Like you need 4 creatures that don't suck, that cost the same amount of mana, that make this card worth its cost. Yeah, so at 6 mana you get 3 drops. What 2 3-drops do you get? Oh, they can be or less. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But ideally you want to make the most mana you can, right? So if this is X and 3, X is 3, what do you get? What are the 4 creatures you pick to make this card not suck? I don't know. I'm trying to think it through to try and find some kind of like deterministic combo. Or Malira Viscera. I mean, that's the kind of thing you're looking for, right? If you want this card to be good, it's because you can find some kind of infinite loop or, you know, powerful creature synergy to utilize this with. And I can't think of any in Standard or Historic right now where you can just, like, pluck 2 creatures. Yeah, so Joe, the key there is they always put back 2, but you make it so that you're picking 4 cards. So you need like 2 2-card combos, right? I don't know. This feels like the kind of card that could be pretty easily broken, but it's only ever going to be as good as the pieces. Like, it's pretty clear at this point that this reminds me in a way of Emergent Ultimatum, right? That's the Sultai one. In that the card is only good because its targets are good, right? Like we can cast Emergent Ultimatum and you can select 3 cards and it's never good for me. It's never ever good for me whatever I pick. So if this card is going to be good, it's because you can pick 4 creatures and all of them are bad for me. That's what this card needs to work. You need to be able to find 4 creatures where if I give you any 2 of them, it sucks for me. If anyone can find that, good card. If you can't find that, I think it's a pretty bad card, sadly, because you just can't get your mana value out of it. Interesting design. But that's going to be the key to breaking that one in half, I think. Hey, Mobs, thank you very much for the raid, my dude. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you had a lovely stream today, my friend. How are you? So yeah, this is a weird one. I'm not going to look into exponential growth. This card is terrible. We're not going to waste our time talking about that one. Yeah, not so bad, thank you. Not so bad. Fair enough, Joe. Maybe it's not there yet. Maybe the cards to break the card aren't there yet, but they might be in the future. What you want to think about is whether or not you need to remember it exists. Gnarled Professor is... This is the kind of card that maybe makes Learn good, right? 4 mana, 5/4 with Trample, ETB's draw card. This is the kind of body that makes the mechanic good, right? Yeah, the professor, the 2-drop is good. This card is also good. So, if Learn is like a mechanic you can play, it's because this is playable. Like, it's just slightly above rate on its body, and it basically draws you a card when it comes into play. Flickering this with Urian is pretty slick. This one's good. This is the kind of payoff you need for Learn to be a playable mechanic in Standard. I like this. This card is good at what it does. The question is if what it does is good, which we don't currently know. Cool, cool, cool. Some more draft filler, unfortunately. The Troll's not very good. Loads of draft filler. Yeah, kind of borderline, especially next to Lovestruck Beast. That I can agree with. The fact it doesn't... Well, I guess it trades with a Lovestruck Beast, but it doesn't, profitably take out Lovestruck Beast. Obviously, nuts in Limited, for sure. Absolutely bananas in Limited. Yeah, loads of Limited fodder here. I kind of want to talk about Verdant Mastery for a second. This is a card I think people are actually kind of underestimating ever so slightly, and I'll explain why. Of all these weirdly templated alternative cost cards in the set, I think this one's the best one. And that seems very weird to say about specifically some kind of explosive vegetation effect, because this is like worse explosive vegetation most of the time. However, this is like kind of important because of Ultimatum. The reason the Ultimatum deck currently plays Cultivate is because not only does it accelerate your mana, but it finds you the land drop for next turn as well. In this unique spot, you can pay 4 mana, and you get to put 2 lands into play, but you also get to put 1 into your hand. So this ramps you straight to Ultimatum on turn 5, without having to draw the land first. And I think that's a fairly big deal, because not having to have the other land in your hand, like after ramping on turn 4, is legit pretty good. I don't know if you have the slot at 4. You'd have to look around and configure the deck a little bit and try and figure it out. But I just think it's worth acknowledging. A lot of people wrote this thing off as complete trash. But the ability to know that you don't need any more lands in hand when you cast this to go from this to Ultimatum is legitimately a real thing. Yeah, I agree with you, Joy. It's a solid slot for a double ramp spell, for sure. Do they run enough basics? That's another good question, actually. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But I think all I wanted to make sure I did with this card was acknowledge that's a thing. I think a lot of people wrote this off as really bad explosive vegetation. But being able to get that 3rd land is really relevant. And you don't really care about giving your opponent a land if you do that, because you're just going to ultimatum them out of their shoes. So, who cares? But that's kind of my point, Hugh, is I think this is better than Migration Path, because it guarantees me that I get to play the 7th land. I don't need to draw it. If I Migration Path, I need to have drawn the 7th land. This guarantees me 7 mana, whereas Path does not. if you ramp on 2 to do this, you're discarding to hand size afterwards. No, you go Wolf Willow Haven on 2 into this on turn 3, and it only puts 1 land into your hand. The other 2 lands go straight into play, so you don't discard to hand size. I'm not sure if this is good enough. I'm not sure if you play enough basic lands, but it's worth acknowledging this card exists and what it lets you do. And that's what this, like, evaluating this set is about, right? I'm not here to tell you that I know this card is broken, buy them now, because anyone who tells you they know if a card is good enough is full of shit. Like, card evaluation is exceptionally difficult. No one ever gets it right. At least not 100% of the time. So what we need to do is look at these cards objectively. We're looking at, where does this fit? What can it possibly do? And what this card can possibly do is guarantee me a turn 5 ultimatum, which is worth paying attention to. Yes, Mubs, that's why we're doing the full set review today. Yeah, we have to speculate on plausibility. That's what we're here to do at the end of the day. Oh my god, Joe. I'm not infallible. I'm not even close. Exactly. The amount of people that thought Sphinx's Revelation was a bad card was like 99%. I thought Elspeth's Sun's Champion was garbage, and then it defined the format for 2 years. Like, you're not always going to be right. It's just about speculating on plausible playability and what we should be paying attention to. Tarmogoyf was basically unplayable for months. So it's a thought exercise. We're all learning and we're all trying to progress as players, and that's what doing this lets us do. We're very rarely going to be correct.